Well, it's Groundhog Day.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back to help prove that the cheapskate is the one who ultimately pays the most right here between the sharks. I cannot get this thing to idle to save my life at all. I did like a poor man's rebuild from the top down on this carburetor, but still nothing. I also managed to break the anti-dieseling solenoid while just trying to clean things out. So I don't know what else I am breaking as we go. So in an attempt to do the right thing and actually get this thing to run, I was researching the Weber carburetor adaptations that these contraptions often get. Those are about 400 bucks. I contemplated and then took a hard left turn and bought this Chinese replacement carburetor for $88.
Wait, what?
If I was gonna go with the original carburetor, this little anti-dieseling solenoid, well, that was 50 bucks, so spent 30 on the rest of this contraption.
Well, somehow that doesn't make it any better.
Anyway, I want to throw it on there and see if we get any kind of different results. This thing's just been nothing but trouble. Well, I'm just dumping fuel everywhere. That's fine. Again, that heater's firing up. I just dumped fuel everywhere. I'm glad there's no open flame in here. Let's check the gasket kit, see if we have a new base gasket, and then we'll swap all the lines one by one. I'm not saying we're not going to rebuild this, but for 30 bucks, it was worth buying a whole carburetor instead of just the solenoid that we need. Is it going to be any better? Is this even our problem? I don't have a clue. Doesn't really want to go down on the studs quite right, so man, to think this $80 carburetor isn't perfect right out of the box. It seems that the base doesn't match. Oh God. What do we do? Do we take the base off one, put it on the other? Dang. This thing's killing me. Oh, so I guess we're gonna enter this world of hurt. These are not simple carburetors. There's a little bit of me, because the base isn't the right size, I'm inclined to see if I can pull the base off of this one and the base off of this one and just do a little swapperoo. All right, so we're just digging in. I mean, the secondary is pretty covered in trash. I've already paid for shipping from eBay, and by the time I ship it back, the hassle, I'm losing 100 bucks, is how it is. So I may as well try to make use of it. These things are a pain. Well, on further inspection, the secondary is totally frozen. Like, I can't move that if I try. Wow. Okay, well, that broke free, but boy, is it gross. We're just digging deeper and deeper holes here. So we need to grind down this little McNubbin right here to make it fit past this, which is seeming to hold sort of the power valve or whatever on this carburetor. I'm not sure if anything I'm doing is right, but man, I'm just gonna keep going. What a mess. Oh, it's getting colder and colder, and it's gonna rain, so it's getting more and more humid, which makes it feel more and more cold. I'm gonna just grind off these two little nubbins and see if I can make it fit. All right, that looks like it might have done it. All right, maybe it'll work. Don't know at all. I also have no idea how many parts and pieces we've lost along the way. Could be so many. This is a full-blown exercise in stupidity. We got a franken carburetor now. We have the base from the original that has the right bolt pattern. One side is narrower than the other. We stole the sight glass off the original carburetor. Went from an electric choke to a mechanical choke that's not hooked up. And I only have one piece that fell out of the carburetor, and I don't know where from. Now in the process, the needle and seat did fall out, and the float, and I put this back together. I know I'm an idiot here, gang. But my hope is to see if we get any kind of difference here. If anything is improved at all, then we can start to break down that it is indeed a carburation issue. So the method to this madness is to see if we can get this thing to run and idle, because we have so far to go before we sink bigger money into this. So I'm trying to cross from one stepping stone to the next without spending a ton of money. For example, if I knew I was going to restore this truck or make it run no matter what, money was no object, I would have just gone ahead and bought the Weber kit. But at this point, I don't need a $7,000 busted old truck. You know what I'm saying? This is more of an endeavor, like, can we save it? It's kind of like a lost puppy without going broke. Because if you throw enough money and time at stuff, You fix just about anything, but that's not really our goal here. We probably already have more money in it than we should. We definitely have more time. This is killing me. What the hell is this? This is for you like legit Datsun guys out there. This is not the set of base gaskets that it came with. Whatever this contraption is, it changes the entire shape of the intake. But that's weird, whatever the hell that is. Boy, howdy do I feel like Charlie Brown lining up on that football. The franken-carburetor is connected. All right, you can hear the fuel pump. That seemed to get over full fast. Dang it. And it's leaking, that's fine. Oh yeah, it's just pouring out. Well, all right. Guess we're gonna start this again, see if we get a different result. That seems to be working more better. It's still leaking a little bit. I'm gonna put a rag on it and I wanna try it, and it's pouring. Dang it. Guys, this thing is just whooping my butt. So we gotta do the solenoid because it has one, the anti-dieseling. So we gotta give that 12 volts. You can hear it go. It's good news. Okay. I'm gonna go turn on the ignition and we're gonna give this a whirl. I'll take anything different. Hopefully not a fire. Gotta be careful what you say. The universe can hear you. All right. Thinking about it, that's better maybe. Go ahead and adjust the idle open a little bit. Fast idle setting at least. No way! Guys, it's got a gallop, but it's idling longer than it has in forever. Here we go. Just adjusting the idle mix. Adjusting the idle mixture screw just a little bit more. All right, the rain's coming down. We have a significant fuel leak, but we got something. It's also super late, so we're gonna try this again in the morning. Here we go. Well, the throttle doesn't seem to do anything, but that's also the longest it's run. Throttle's having almost no effect, which is weird. But also that's totally different than we had yesterday. And the carburetor is totally flooding. Great. Okay, not good, not good. Well, that's the longest it's run, so I don't know what I'm talking about. It's so inconsistent. Or honestly, it felt like it was running on every other one. Why is the carburetor flooding all of a sudden? So I did this yesterday. I don't know if you guys can even see this tiny little nub. It fell out of this new franken-carburetor. My best guess is that's a spacer to keep the float from like running out this way. I'm just gonna try connecting everything again and confirming that the float works simply by holding it up. Which it is. Okay. So it's closing the needle and seat. I'll slide this piece on because I have no idea where it fell out of, but we're going to assume that that was exactly where it used to go. And if not, that's where it's going to go now. All right, it's freezing in here. I'm losing everything. My mind, first of all, but also the can of diesel that I need for that thing, which is kind of crazy because it's a 3-gallon gas can. Where could I put it? It's big and it's red. So anyway, all right. Because we just flooded everything, we're gonna triple check the timing. Something very strange is going on. We started with no spark. We have spark. We confirmed that with both coils. We've triple checked the wires like 72 times, but we're gonna do it again because we still have issues. The thing that I can't explain is the timing light seems to be seeing the timing mark almost right under the water pump. And the timing mark it's supposed to be on has the white mark on it right there, which matches this, which is 5 degrees before top dead center, which means the only time it's firing is if it's after top dead center by almost, I don't know, 30 degrees or something like that of rotation by trying to get this thing to fire by moving the distributor all around. But what we're gonna do now, because we got a second with the flooding, we're gonna go back to 0. We're gonna pull the number 1 plug. We're gonna find the compression stroke. We're gonna get the timing mark lined up. Then we're gonna pop the distributor cap off. Then we're gonna see where the rotor is in the distributor cap. I may even triple confirm by taking the valve cover off, making sure the number 1 is totally closed on the compression stroke. Just to confirm I didn't bugger that up somehow, because we gotta know. Something's not right, and I don't know what it is. I'm wanting to accuse the timing light of firing at the wrong time, and I don't know how to prove that. But obviously that doesn't make a lot of sense either, now does it? So in the meantime, I've pretty much read the actual shop manual cover to cover like 5 times. These carburetors, the ignition systems, there's a lot of emission controls, and I think I've pretty much bypassed them all at this point. What's left is if the EGR valve is stuck open, that could be a problem. There's no vacuum hooked up to it, so it should be normally closed, and the vacuum should open it. But if it's stuck open, that's going to increase the airflow into the intake, bypassing the carburetor. At this point, I got it narrowed down to somewhere between spark, fuel, and vacuum. Car joke for all you guys out there. That's pretty much all it takes to run an engine. Compression issues could still be a thing, but I feel like we got enough compression to run. Like, may not run great, but it ought to idle and stuff. And like, even if I wanted to fire the parts cannon at this thing, you can't get parts. Like, every time I think I've had a solution, and I'm like, it's this part. I order it, and it takes a week to get here, and I install it, and I try it, and it doesn't really solve the problem. All right, this is so you guys can follow along at home, and you eagle eyes can check my work. We got the valve cover off. We're gonna rotate the engine by hand and confirm that we are at top dead center on the compression stroke. At which point, we're gonna confirm that it is where we believe number 1 on the intake side is, which we believe is number 1 on this engine. I say we believe because if I'm wrong, just put it in the comments, because I don't know. This thing is killing me. Why is that so tight? This is weird. Feels insanely tight. Considering I've turned this engine over 100 times, I don't know what's going on now. Like, is it hydro-locked? Did that much fuel go in? All right, I'm gonna pull all the other plugs just in case, and then we're gonna figure it out. Because I don't understand what we got going on here. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I mentioned this thing is killing me. All right, all the plugs are out. Let's see if we can turn the engine now. At least all the exhaust side plugs are out. Jeez, I don't know what's going on now. It's turning, but it's extremely unhappy about it, which is new. I mean, there's oil in it and stuff. Only ran for a few seconds. I'm so confused. I mean, it's like possible that I tried to seize it up by running it for that long with some old oil in it, but I don't think so. It's clearly lubricating all the way to the top end. All right, I just pulled the belt off to make sure something else wasn't seized, but man, this engine is not turning anymore. I don't know where. I don't know. Timing chain bound up, like what? Timing chain seems fine. Grab a bigger lever. It's never been this hard to turn before. So I wonder if I somehow just seized this motor. Okay, it's turning. Is the cam not moving? Well, there goes the cam. Okay. Right. Seems to have just freed up. I don't know if I'm relieved or not. It could have just been done, right? All right, so we're gonna follow this over. Intake is open. So when intake closes, we should be on the compression stroke. Whew. Okay, the distributor is moving in the rotation we expect. You can hear it on my finger that it is the compression stroke. We're gonna bring it around and look at the timing marks. So one of the tricky things about these engines is the timing marks on the chain don't line up after you spin the engine over because they are not spaced evenly on the chain. So you set it and then you kind of have to walk away. At 0 degrees, top dead center, this should be totally vertical, which makes me wonder if the cam timing is off by whatever this amount of degrees is. We're in the right orientation. We've got 3 holes, 1 left, 1 right, 1 center, but this should be totally vertical. Now that said, it's a little tricky because the car is listing pretty hard to this side. The only tire with air is on the far side, but that's still a couple degrees more than it should be. That might indicate why it won't really run at the timing mark as specified. However, we're lined up at top dead center. Yeah, and our piston is right there. So we can rotate the cam gear back a tooth, which is essentially what it looks like it's off at this point. Boy, that's scary business, isn't it? Oof, I gotta think about that. Oh boy. I rotated everything over again, and I don't know how this happened, but it feels like this is where the cam gear wants to be. The lobes are kind of in the right place, pointing down. We're on the compression stroke. Piston's getting close to top dead center. But if you look at the marks, we're way off. So 5, 10, the last ridge is 20, so 30 something degrees. That's why the timing light is showing where it is. So my thought at this point, which is crazy, and I need to go do some research on this before I commit, is I need to take the sprocket off, and with number 1 at top dead center on the compression stroke, reline up my gears. So, oof. So what I could do, and that's still that many degrees off, that's a lot. No idea how it happened. I'd have to go back and watch my old videos, but I put this timing chain on a couple times. I don't see why I shouldn't be able to just roll this forward till the timing marks line up at 0 and then reset the cam. So I think the way I would need to do it is take this, roll it until it's at 0 on the mark, like that. Pull this bolt, lift the chain, rotate the cam gear back, and put the chain back on without losing tension and without moving the crankshaft at all. But that's enough. That's the 15 to 30 degrees that we're seeing in the timing light. So that's massively problematic. I just don't know how it happened. I'm gonna go read the shop manual top to bottom again about how to set the timing with the cam gear, and then I'll be back. All right, so I'm definitely going to school here. I'm learning a lot of lessons I never really wanted to learn, but this is a significant problem. I've never had a timing chain with a tensioner, so I don't know how it jumped or if I got it set up wrong. I will say I did notice when the engine was running, when the engine was turning over, while I was trying to get it going the first time, it would like roll over and then kick back a little bit. And I know any rotation backwards can loosen the tensioner, and I mean, it really looks like it's only jumped 1 tooth. You need to clean this and mark it so that the number 2 on the cam gear, if I can rotate it 1 cam tooth, that looks like it'll be right. Just got to do that without dropping the timing chain in the drink. That's what happened when I took the head off last time. So fun. I love Datsuns. I got to do everything I can to not drop the timing chain down in the drink because that will ruin the day. Got this, didn't work at all last time. Still gonna try it again because like Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's my only hope. Is that right? I've never really watched Star Wars. Jam that sucker down in there. Oh, guess what? Little rubber half moon thing that goes right here. Yeah, it's down in there at the bottom now. Just gotta recenter and we'll figure that out. Man, oh man, oh man. Yes, I'm trying not to explode if you're wondering what I'm doing right now. Let's see if we can pull a trick out from the sticky bandits.
We're the sticky bandits!
Alright, I told you guys how I feel about this truck. It's okay, it's gonna take me all day. If I was smart, I would go ahead and just try to move the timing chain because when I drop it, I gotta take all this apart anyway. And if you're not sure, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm willing to just leave it in there. Let it get ground to smithereens and clog all the oil passages. And we gotta mark the gear where we need it to go. The best I can tell is straight up and down is right there. So at this point, the chain needs to stay in the same place. The cam needs to rotate backwards by at least 1 tooth. So there we go. That's the mark on our chain. We got to get this dot straight up and down and line up with that mark. I don't know how to do it yet, but obviously disaster could strike and we could take the whole front of the motor off again. We've done it several times. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. All right, here goes nothing. I really don't want to turn this thing backwards. That's pretty important. All right, how do I do this without screwing everything up? Completely nerve-wracking process. This truck has become a complete and utter time vampire. All the time that I put into it just begets more time to put into it. I think this is exactly what 1 step forward, 2 steps back looks like. I know that's a phrase, but really, in this case, everything that we do, we end up a step backwards. Oh, for those of you screaming at your monitors, I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. Guys, I feel like I'm defusing a bomb in some weird 80s movie. This is like... This is so nerve-wracking. The potential for disaster is so high. I'm just gonna try to hand tighten this and see if I can get it to seat. I think it's lined up, but I can't 100% tell. I think it's seating on there, or I'm breaking something, one or the other. Now, number 2, straight up and down. We're at the timing mark. The white line on the timing mark is 5 degrees, so we're at 0. This is lined up again, and our rotor is pointing right around where number 1 ought to be on our cap. So like, maybe that's it? Did I do it? All right, I'm gonna give it at least 1 full rotation by hand so we can kind of see what's going on here. Make sure we line back up. Probably gonna need more than 1 rotation by hand to prove that. Cam's moving. Intake's closing. So when our timing mark lines up, we should be back at top dead center. Pretty close, let's go again. Intake open, intake closing. Timing mark comes around. It's top dead center. That's looking straight up and down. I know it looks super weird. I think it's better. I'm gonna go ahead and check the torque on that thing, and then I gotta change the oil and I gotta fish out that rubber plug, which is gonna take me, without a doubt, all day. So I had to go get my thing, get a router. Decided to make a couple little brown dog coffee because it's cold and awful. And fine people at Beaver just sent over an air compressor, little 8-gallon thing. It's also kind of insult to injury. The hope for that thing was to be able to fill these tires, to drive this thing out and do jumps in the backyard for a few minutes until they deflated, but we are so far from that, it's outrageous. It's time to go play the claw game and see if I can fish that thing that I dropped out of the poodle snapper, and then we'll change the oil. Oh my God, I had it. I actually had it on the first try, and now it may be gone forever. Crap. In case you're wondering, I've been at it for an hour already. In fact, I'm so good at it now that I know how to put this dipstick in and knock it out of its hidey hole even when I can't see it. And then I pick it up my little poodle snapper and I drop it. It's like upside down pachinko, you know? Well, I lost it forever. I think I knocked it into the oil pan, and it can stay right there. It's fine. Everything on this truck. All right, speaking of oil pan, I gotta drain the oil. So the over-under that I shear that bolt off is high. Shockingly, we got the oil plug out without breaking anything. There's plenty of oil in it, so that's great news. So these things take 4.5 quarts. We're just gonna douse the little feller here. I thought to myself, I'm just gonna go over there for an hour or two, see what happens, ask you guys for help, and just get on with my life. 5 hours later, here we are. There's new oil. We've only lost one piece down to the oil pan, and the cam timing was wrong. I'm gonna assume it's my fault. I just don't know how I did it. That's a little unnerving, but I'm happy to see something like this, I guess, because it could obviously cause the problem. The cam has got to be in time with the crankshaft so that the valves open and close at the right relationship to the piston. That's not the same as ignition timing, but they are close buddies. I got it to run even though it had jumped a tooth. It's currently in that position for the distributor, but that doesn't mean that that's right. So we're gonna rotate this around one more time, take a look at everything, line up our timing marks at 5 degrees, and then we're gonna make sure this part of the rotor lines up with the number 1 plug on the intake side. When we are at number 1, we're gonna adjust the distributor to that, which should give us a ballpark initial timing that should work when we try this thing again. All right, let's do it. Engine turned over nice and smooth, which is great. This is where we should be lining up with our rotor. So we'll take a look. It's essentially, it's kind of like right here. So we do need to rotate this distributor back, in theory, to make it right. Make it as right as I can guess, and then we'll try again. All right, I got the distributor lined up the best I can possibly eyeball it. A couple of you guys have said it in the comments, like, why am I spending all this time on this thing instead of the Model T? Like, which one are you guys more interested in? A, and then B, you know, what would you do? Realistically, I think we're at least $2,000 away when we consider tires and everything else this is gonna need just to get barely making it down the road. Even if my franken-carb works for a while, I think the right thing to do is still going to be the Weber swap. We got a whole brake system to do, tires. So I guess my thing is, like, would you throw it at this truck? Or would you get yourself a big old Buick and just cruise around town in style and comfort, you know? Someone else pointed out in the comments that this worn winch is probably enough to pay for that Buick. God, I got so many hours into this thing. Nothing to show for it. I guess we're ready to try to fire it up again. Somewhere, actually, thinking back, the first time it ran kind of okay. So between then and my second go is when it must have jumped time. That's my best guess. I don't know. I'm trying to make myself feel better, rationalize it. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I don't understand what happened, but I know that it happened. All right, this is kind of like everything, everywhere, all at once. Battery's hooked up, timing light is hooked up. We think we fixed the float because it overflowed last time we tried this. Dingle hopper's hooked up. Anti-diesel solenoid has power. Gotta turn the ignition on, see if it'll turn over. Let's see what happens. Fuel pump's running. See if the carb overflows before we get started here. Leaking, yes. Overflowing, no. We'll take it for now. Fire in the hole. Not getting anything out of the timing light, but that's not unusual. What does that mean, everybody? Do we know anything? Oh, guys, I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do, except maybe adjust the ignition timing back to where it was when it ran. But I don't know why. Let's go try that. I just advanced it. The engine rocks back just a fuzz when it stops turning over. We'll see if you can see that, because I wonder if that's what jumped time. All right, here we go. Nothing. Nothing. What is going on? I just moved the timing forward again. Now it's right where it used to be. Whoa. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right at all. Why is it working though? Doesn't feel right at all. So I'm going to shut her down. Take the valve cover off. We're going to spin everything over, see where everything is again. Jeez. We're just going to go by the valves instead of pulling the plug. Valves and the timing mark. So this is the compression stroke on number 1. That still looks right. Let's take a look under here. Number 1. I mean, maybe that's okay. Quasi checks out. Let's give it the juice again. Try one more time. Maybe the exhaust side coil was loose. Don't know. Don't know anything, gang. Here we go. Try the choke, I guess. I don't know, the timing mark is still not lining up the way it's supposed to. We're just gonna keep adjusting it and see if it'll run mo better. And that's like, when I say it's not lining up, it's the timing light with our situation down there. But it's running. That's kind of remarkable. I don't know what to make of it. It's so weird. It doesn't seem to be responding at all when you move the throttle. Guys, that's as good as we're gonna get right now. All right, guys, help me if you can. I'm completely lost. I'm completely burned out on this thing. It definitely jumped time. We solved that. We're not getting it to run any better. It's still got that gallop. You can hear it. The new franken carburetor is like leaking all over the place. Moments before I started recording again, I double checked the firing order. It is accurate. I'm completely frustrated and completely at a loss. Like, technically it runs, but also has zero response from the throttle, like none. Not good or bad. It doesn't stall out and it doesn't gallop forward. somebody read the tea leaves on that. The timing light on number 1 intake side is still flashing when the timing mark is somewhere under the water pump, which is firing technically after top dead center, but again, it's the only place this thing runs. I don't know what that means, which is weird because it's not acting significantly different than when we changed the cam timing, and we just checked that again to make sure it didn't jump again, and it doesn't seem to have. I'm not having much fun with it at this point, and it really is just sucking my time trying to figure this out, and I don't really know what to try next. If it won't run, we're not moving forward. So I'm hoping one of you Datsun guys out there knows exactly how I'm being an idiot on this thing, because I just can't figure it out. I'm applying everything I know about motors to a motor I don't really know anything about, and it's not exactly seeming to get me any closer. I hope you guys are having better luck on your projects at the start of this new year than I am on mine. But thank you as always for watching, and we will see you next time on Between the Sharks. Boy. Fighting the good fight. I'm recording this intro after it's over because this has been a 40-hour winding journey. And on that journey, we found it jumped time, we built a franken-carburetor, and we solve our ignition issues, perhaps. But I still need anyone out there with any knowledge of these things to watch this video because I still don't have it right and I need help. Like, I genuinely need help. So enjoy the video, and if you know something that